Okay, so we are going to talk about reciprocals and inverse operations. So a reciprocal is also known as the multiplicative inverse. And what that means is it is the number that you can multiply by to get 1. So we'll do a few examples together. The first example is with the number 3. Now, 3 is a whole number or an integer, and we can write the number 3 as a fraction, and to do that, we're just going to put it over 1, because what that means is 3 ones or 3 wholes. So now, if we take that and we flip it to be 1/3, if we multiply 3 wholes by 1/3, we get 3 times 1, which is 3, 1 times 3, which is 3, which really gives us an answer of 1. So the multiplicative inverse of 3 is 1/3. We're going to do the same thing with 7/4. We are going to flip it. So we're going to make this 4/7, so that when we multiply, we get 28 28ths, which is really 1. So our multiplicative inverse is 4/7. Couple more examples. We have 1 3/5, and that is a mixed number. So we have to be really careful when we do these mixed numbers. A lot of people want to just say, well, the multiplicative inverse would be 1 and then 5/3, because if we flip our fraction, but really 1 3/5 it's a whole number in itself. It's not the same as 3/5, so we do have to take this mixed number and turn it into an improper fraction. So in order to do that, we take our denominator, we multiply it by the numerator, we get 5, and then we add 3, and we get 8, and our denominator stays the same. So really, 1 3/5 is the same as 8/5, and now we are going to flip that over, and we're going to make this 5/8. So our inverse, or our reciprocal, is 5/8. And if we take 8 times 5, we get 40. 5 times 8, we get 40, and that gives us an answer of 1. So our reciprocal for 1 3/5 is 5/8. And then we have 8/7. Again, we can just flip it and make, I apologize. If we have 7/8, we can flip it and make it 8/7. That would be our reciprocal. We get 56 over 56, which is really 1 whole. So 7/8, the reciprocal would be 8/7. All right, now we're going to talk about some inverse operations. And inverse operations are operations that undo each other. So some examples we have here. Addition and subtraction are inverse operations. Addition undoes subtraction. Subtraction undoes addition. And then again, multiplication and division are inverse operations. Multiplication undoes division. Division undoes multiplication. So we'll do a couple more specific examples. So what is the inverse operation for adding 3? Multiplying by 3. If we multiply the number 1 by 3, if we want to get it back to the number 1, what we need to do is divide by 3. So if we multiply 1 by 3, we get 3. To get back to 1, we would divide by 3. All right, now if we have add 14, if we took 0 and we added 14, to get back to 0, we would need to subtract 14. Okay, then if we were dividing by 8, so if, let's say we started at 64 and we divided by 8, to get back to 64, we would multiply by 8. And then the last one, if we subtract 1/2, say we started at 1 and we subtract half to get back to 1, we would add half, or add 1/2. All right, so those are our inverse operations and our reciprocals.